Hi, I'm Todd Marichaw, and welcome to my podcast. Today, we're diving into the Dreamer's Blueprint, how to build a successful business. I'll walk you through 4 key points to kickstart your journey and set you on the path to success. Are you a dreamer? Someone who always has great plans and things that you want to do in life? Someone who's not happy with the status quo or getting a job at a corporation, and working your way up the ladder, it just doesn't appeal to you, right? If you're that person, then you're in the right place here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how to turn your vision into a reality, to go from being a dreamer to a visionary. When I was first starting out, I worked at a corporation and I had all these big dreams about starting my own company that most people thought were, let's just say, not realistic. And it didn't matter to me, though. I had to follow who I was, and who I was a dreamer, and I needed to become a visionary. And the difference between, again, a dreamer and a visionary is a dreamer thinks about all these great things they'd love to do in life, and they have all these ideals of what they want to be. But a visionary is one who takes that dream and they make actionable steps to make it happen. That's it. That's the only difference. All right, so when I was early 20s, I started a company called Allen Sportswear, okay? And it was just me helping out my local church, and they needed uniforms, so I made uniforms, and they're really nice. Everybody liked them. I didn't really know how I could make money full-time doing it, but everyone liked the uniforms, so that was really cool. The next year came around, and not only my team, but the league, the church league, wanted uniforms, and so I took care of everyone's uniforms. And at that point I thought, hey, maybe I have something here, but I wasn't really ready to pull the trigger because it wasn't consistent money. It was just one church league. At the time I was working at AT&T, and I had 3 years in, I guess, stable job, making good money, benefits, the whole works. My wife was pregnant and not working, and she was about to give birth. I think we were just a few months away from giving birth, and out of nowhere, I just said I can't handle it anymore. I have to follow my passions in life. So thank God she supported me, because most wives probably would not support you in that instance where you're about to give birth and you're the only sole provider, and yet here I was quitting my job. So. But I just had to follow it. It was building up inside that I needed to follow my dream. I had to turn my dream into a vision, right? So at that point, I quit my job, and I remember telling my wife very clearly, if we could sell just $15,000 a month, right? $15,000 a month, we'll be fine, okay? In fact, I said even $10,000, we can manage to get by, right? And assuming $10,000 a month, you're bringing home around $5,000 at that point, because there's no overhead. It's just me hanging at home. So I said that's plenty of money for us to get by, right? We'll figure it out from here. First month came by, and we sold, guess what? 15,000. And I was like, well, there's a sign. There's my sign from God. I did the right thing. But that first month was so freaky. I had to get out there. And back then, obviously, internet was not what it is today. And so our leads came from me actually writing out letters, sending them to schools, and asking them to essentially give me a shot and see if they would talk to me. So I would send out these letters and follow up with calls and get a hold of them, and sell my uniforms for next to nothing, anything just to get a deal in. And long story short, here I am 20 years later, and I've had multiple businesses, and I still have that original business, Allen Sportswear. I'm still running that business. Over the years, I have been lucky enough to sell tens of millions of dollars of product. And there's a lot of things I had to learn along the way. And I'm going to share those steps in this channel. Each week, I'll be trying to send out one each week. I'll do my best. But I'll be trying to share a lot of the secrets that I had, and a lot of things that I've learned that if I just knew sooner, man, it could have been so much better, so much easier to get to from my dream to my vision, from something just in my head to my goals being realized. It's so important to be able to take that dream, make it a vision, and turn it into reality. And it's so difficult when you don't have a guiding map. If you don't, it's like going out camping, but you don't know where the campsite is, and you don't have a compass. You don't know where to go, and eventually maybe you find it, but it's because you walked around aimlessly for hours on end when you could have just gotten there in like 5 minutes if you'd have walked the right direction. Point number one, start with the end in mind. This is the most important point out of all of them because this is all about you and your vision. Okay, this is about turning your vision into reality. You got to start with the end in mind. It needs to be more than just money too. It can't just be, hey, I want to be rich. Okay, in the end, I'm going to be there. Money's going to, is going to be flowing, and I have visions of money flowing everywhere. That's great. Okay, but that it needs to be more than that. Okay, what is the end in mind? What are you trying to get? Why do you want the money? For me, it was more important that I was able to be home with my wife. We were still newlyweds, and have time with her, and eventually my son that was being born and was born, and spend time with him than it was for me to have a stable job and be able to pay the bills and all that stuff. Obviously, I want to pay the bills, but it was more important that I got to spend time with my family. That was my end goal to my vision. Uniforms happened to be a way to get there. The product really didn't matter, other than I wanted to do a great job at it. But the end goal for me was family time. Okay, that was the most important thing in my life at that point. Your end goal might be something different. It could be independence. It could be that you want to spend half the year in Europe. It could be anything that you want. But money is just a tool, okay? So if you want lots of money, great. What do you want that tool for? What is the tool for? Is it for independence? Is it to run around? Is it to spend time with your family? Is it to, buy an airplane if you're a pilot, right? What is this money for? Because that's where you need to start. You need to keep that vision in mind of what matters to you most. So once you have this vision in mind of what matters to you, write it down, make it as detailed as possible. It's going to be your guiding light and your North Star, right? Because when things get hard, and they're going to get hard, it doesn't matter what your business is, it's going to get hard. And when they get hard, you got to remember why you're doing it to begin with. And if it's just I want to make money and there's no reason other than that, you're going to quit. Because you're going to say, well, I can make money in a corporation. I can make money doing something else. I don't have to make money here. And that's going to make you quit. But if you have no, this is my values, and this is what matters to me, right? This is what makes me tick. And that's why even when hard times come, I'm going to fight through it. And if you have that guiding light, you will continue to fight through any issues. Okay. One of my favorite scriptures ever is Proverbs 29:18, which it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Right? And that's as simple as it gets. If you don't have vision, your dream and everything about you perishes. I don't know how many people I've met in my life, it's been a lot, that have lived out their lives and now they're older and they feel so unfulfilled. They've settled and there's no true happiness. It's just more of, well, that's just what life gave me. And, it just is what it is. Because they had dreams when they were young, and instead of chasing them, they stuck to what was comfortable and what made them feel secure. And instead of just going out on a limb and fighting for what mattered to them, they spent 30, 40 years working a job they hated, spending the majority of their time each day in a place they didn't even like, all to have some, a little bit of savings so that when they're old and can barely move, now they are, secure with their wife. Maybe they don't have a wife. Maybe they're by themselves now, or their husband, and they can't even enjoy all those years they spent. It was all for nothing, and they realize that. They realize that everything they did doesn't mean anything now. That the things that mattered to them, whether it was family, whether it was independence and travel, whether it was spending time with their kids or even with their grandkids now they're older, all those things they lost out on for security. And now they have nothing to show for it. And they're old And there's nothing they can do about it anymore. It's over. The dream is over. That's something that I always promised myself I would never be like. I would always fight for my dreams, even if they were silly. I would always try to turn my dreams into a vision and my vision into a reality. And I was not going to grow old and say, I wish I'd have done it different. I just didn't want that in my life. All right, point number 2. Break it down, small steps, big results, okay? So if you can't break down what to do first, the best way to do is to look at the end goal of your vision and then break down what it's going to take to get there. So how did I do that? Now, I had my first business. I started it up. Obviously, the goal was to spend time with my family. Now, that wasn't going to happen right away because I was going to have to work my butt off. I was the only employee. I ended up working 12 hours a day for the first couple of years, right? It was very difficult, working 6, sometimes 7 days a week. But I did it because I had an end goal in mind, right? So how did I work backwards? I said, well, if I want to be independent, I was going to have a way of getting leads other than writing letters. And so that was goal number 1. I needed to start a website and put my uniforms up there and make it so that people can find me, right? Other than me writing letters to schools. The other thing I needed was to have employees, which I couldn't afford yet. So what is it going to take for me to even have employees, right? So besides having leads come in through a website, I'm going to need to have a cost structure. I'm going to need to have, best practices. I'm going to have how-tos and also, have guides on how to sell. Essentially, I'm going to have a training. So I have to start my training manuals. So these are all things that as I was starting to sell on my own, I would write down, how do we sell this? What are best practices? What is the price structure? How much does it really cost, right? It's not just about, it costs this amount. It's plus shipping, and I had to do duties and plus regular, right, expenses of just running a website and having a CRM and all these different things. I had to start adding all these regular expenses up and going, in the end, I need to make X amount, right, to earn X amount. And I can't have employees until I get to this point. So I had to work backwards, right? So if I want to have employees so I can have more time with my family, I'm going to need to work backwards and make sure that my employees, when I do hire them, are set up to succeed. Okay, so now that I've worked backwards and I've set up everything over a few month period of how to succeed, how to get there, besides just me, just if I'm not the only one working, when I bring other people in, how do they succeed too? Okay. Now I have to work on point number 3, which is resilience. All right. Resilience, grit, whatever you want to call it. It's a big deal. If you don't have this one key factor, you can't make it. And the reason why is, oh my gosh, things are going to go wrong. Things are going to go wrong. I still remember my first disaster as a business owner. We were doing really good. I was really happy, and I'm selling, and we're making money, and I'm like, man, this is the best. This is the easiest business I ever could have thought of. Sports uniforms, so easy. And I got a big order in. At the time, it was huge for me. It was like $6,000-$7,000 order. I was so excited because that almost paid all my bills for that month, just getting that in. And the order came in, and everything was wrong. And everything, the colors were wrong, the fabric was wrong, the sizing was wrong. In fact, you would have one size medium and it would be this big, and then another size medium is that big, and even the sizes that were supposed to, they didn't even match. So I called the factory, and I'm talking to there's a lady that ran it, and this was overseas. It's not in our country. So, and I'm talking, and I'm like, what happened here? Why are the sizes wrong? I mean, don't you guys use the same measurements? And she said, well, we measure by hand. And I said, what does that mean? She goes, we just know this is just about a medium, and this size should be just about large. I go, hold on, you don't even have measuring tools. You just, all right. So anyways, I was blown away. All right. So it's just things that I never thought I'd have to deal with. Anyways, I didn't even know what to say. Even now, as I talk about it, I'm still blown away, and it's 20 years later. But they didn't even have measuring tools. They just made it according to what looked right. That looks like a large to me, and that's how they made these. On top of that, the colors were all wrong. So I asked her, why did you make it these colors? And she said, well, that's my artistic interpretation. And I said, what does that mean? She's, well, I just felt it looked better in a different color. I said, you can't just change the colors. This is a team. They have certain colors they have to stick by. You can't just change the colors. And she goes, well, I tell you what, I'll do everything you're asking me to do. I'll actually measure it out, and I'll make the sizes right, and I'll do the colors you want if you repay me for all the uniforms. All right, that was my welcome to the industry experience. Long story short, I lost my rear end on that order. I had to give their money back, and I was so upset. I ended up flying out to the country that I get these uniforms at, and trying to talk to this lady. Showed up at her factory, and she hid from me for 2 or 3 days, and I finally gave up and found another factory to talk to, and started using them instead from that point on. There's no way that you could ever anticipate that a factory would mess up your order like that on purpose, essentially, completely on purpose, admit it, and then tell you to repay for the whole order just to get it done right. Those are the kind of things that when you have your own business happen that you would never believe happen in reality or in real life. And so the point being is, it would have been so easy for me at that point to just say, this isn't worth it. This isn't worth it. Like, I didn't get paid this month. I don't even know how to pay my bills. I don't know how to feed my baby, because the money we made this month is all gone. We have no more money because we lost all that money that we thought we made. We had to pay it back. And on top of that, we lost the money we paid the factory. They wouldn't refund us. So I lost the money the client gave me, and I had to pay to lose that money on top of it. And so it was a double hit. And that just taught me right then and there. It was my come to Jesus moment of, is this really for you? Where you're going to have months where you don't make any money, where you're going to have issues that you've done nothing wrong, and yet everything went wrong, right? And that's resilience, and that's grit. And if you don't have that, you can't make it, okay? And I will tell you this, if I didn't have, point number one, right, that vision, if I didn't have a vision for what I wanted in life, I would have quit on the spot. But I knew where I was going. I still had my North Star. I still had my guiding light. Okay. I knew where I was going. And so I said, I got to suck it up, and I will make this happen. I will make it work. Okay. And trust me, I had a lot of times where I was thinking, forget this, I'm quitting. So it's not like I'm some, bull, it just keeps charging through. Okay. I definitely had points where I was like, this isn't worth it. Okay. But that North Star kept me going back, right? Kept me fighting even when it seemed ridiculous. If you're liking this so far, awesome. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. And that way more people can see this content and get this information if it's what they need. So if you like this, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for that. But let's get to point number 4, which is lead with service. Okay, this is an incredibly important point for growing a business. I would probably say the second most important point behind having a vision is leading with service. All right. Now, as a Christian man, I have always believed in servant leadership, which is what Christ taught, and he would, serve his disciples, and he expected his disciples to serve the people. And that is no different in business. Okay. So you get into business, at first it's just me. So I'm serving my people, right? Which is my customer. But when you start hiring people, now I am serving the people I hired. Okay. Those people are now the ones. And I've messed this up so many times. So I don't want to come across like I didn't mess this one up a lot. In my younger years, I was quite arrogant and probably did. If any of my old employees see this, they might laugh about some of the things I'm saying. But I've learned over the years quite a bit to appreciate my employees. Okay. At first, it wasn't always like that, and I just want to set that straight. And I'm telling you right now, if you're starting your own business, don't make the mistakes that I made. You treat your employees with respect. Make sure that they feel like they're cared about. Make sure that they're heard. These are all very important points, and if you don't do that, your business won't succeed. And you might get away with it for a while, but eventually it'll all come crumbling down. And I know this because it's happened to me multiple times, where I've had great teams that I just destroyed because I didn't appreciate the people I had and I didn't serve them. I felt like they were there to serve me. I'm the owner. I'm the big man, right? I built this, right? And you get all this ego and this arrogance built up, and then you get the people you hire they eventually turn on you and they hate you for it. And you go, what did I do? And you feel like you didn't do anything wrong. But if you look back at it, you can go, wow, this is where I went wrong. It's pretty simple to figure out. Once you have a little humility, where you've gone wrong there. And so I want to encourage you, right, to serve, lead with service. And what that means is simple, right? Right? Do unto others. If you have a client there, help them out. Do what's right. Even if that client did everything wrong and you did nothing wrong, but they're stressed, you could tell they're flipped, right? Something really bad. Do what you can to the best of your ability to help that person. Don't be, hey man, sorry about that. Them's the breaks, right? Deal with it. You messed up. That's not a great. That is, you got to figure out a way to try to help them. Now, obviously, there'll be people or customers that will never be happy, but you got to do your best to try to make them happy. Okay, and that's a hard lesson to learn, but it is absolutely essential to having a successful business, is to serve the people who buy from you and do everything you can to make sure they have an incredible experience from beginning to end, from the way they order to the way they get their product to the follow-ups, right? To all of it. All of it needs to be first class. On top of that, that will never happen unless you treat your employees the same way. So when you get employees in, you got to treat them the same way. You got to take care of them and treat them like a customer. You got to make sure they're happy. You got to make sure they're getting paid something that they're happy with, right? You got to make sure they feel appreciated. You got to make sure they feel heard, right? You got to listen to them, and you got to tell them you appreciate them. You got to tell them that every single week now. I will tell my employees, man, I am so thankful for you. I am so thankful that you've decided to work here. Do you think that people have no other place they can work? I mean, if that's the only employee you can get, that's not good, all right? So let's just assume you're getting good people, right? They have so many choices out there. And they need to know that they matter to you, that you are so thankful that they work for you, right? I am like, hey, you guys are awesome, man. That doesn't mean I don't sometimes will get on their case when they mess up or tell them, hey, they got to do better. Obviously, all those things need to happen. But in the end of the day, every single one of them has to know you appreciate them, you are thankful for them, and you are there working for them, right? You need to hear what they need in life. And if you can do something to make their life better or easier, you should do that. You should do whatever you can. If you have the ability to maybe help them out, pay them a little bit more, it won't hurt you, you know what I mean? And they deserve it, then you should pay them that. They shouldn't have to ask for a raise, okay? That's a big one. I know in corporate America, they once a year and they'll talk about it, and maybe you'll get a 3% raise if you do a good job. If you got someone killing it and you're halfway through the year and it's not raise time, why not just do it anyway? Why not just say, brother, sister, whatever, whatever you want to call them. But if you want to say, hey, you know what? You're doing an amazing job. Let me just give you a raise now. And because I know you got a family or whatever their circumstance is, because you're in their life, right? Because they matter to you. Let's just give you a raise now. I know it's not raise time, but you deserve it. You are doing an incredible job. I'm so happy with what you're doing. So it's in my power, or within my power, to give you a raise now. I'm going to do it. Let's just do this. I will tell you what, you're going to create such loyal employees. And guess what those employees are going to do? They are going to treat your customers like that. They're going to take care of your customers. They're going to follow up with your customers. Even your customers are mad. They're not going to avoid them. They're going to give them that call back and be like, look, I'm sorry. They're going to empathize with them, and they're going to help them. And then you're going to get lots of 5-star reviews. And people are going to say, man, this company is amazing. I love working with this company. Right? Even if you don't have necessarily the greatest product of all time, or you don't have the greatest prices of all time, if you have incredible employees that take care of people, all right, then you're going to get a lot of business. All right. So case in point, that Chick-fil-A. All right. I don't know if anyone here likes Chick-fil-A. I go to Chick-fil-A all the time. I'm not necessarily a fan of the way it tastes. I think it's decent. I mean, if you're talking about chicken, I think there's Wingstop and places like that are probably better. But man, you go to Chick-fil-A and you feel like you're like a VIP. You walk in there and they're happy and they're smiling and they're so excited to see you. And the food is always quick and hot and it's never been sitting under a heat lamp for an hour. And you go up there to get a Coke and they're smiling and let me get you another Coke. And just 5-star service, beginning to end. It's not the greatest food, at least for me. It's not the greatest food of all time, but man, it's a great experience. And if you can do that with your business, where maybe you can't compete with the big boys, but you get pretty close and they have an amazing experience dealing with you and with your people, then they're going to keep coming back to you. They're going to say, hey, I love these guys. I love working with them because they treat me great. They care about me, right? They're happy to hear from me. And the only way you're going to get employees that do that is if you do that to your employees. Okay? It always is going to start at the top. So that is one of my biggest points. If you're ever going to have a successful business, is you got to lead with service. Absolutely, 100% lead with service, not with product. I mean, that's all great. Product and all this is all great, but service is going to be what pushes any product or any idea, any other, let's say, a service as a business. Your service to your people is going to be what makes that business successful. Okay, so I think I talked a lot today already. So we'll cut it off here in just a minute. My encouragement going away is to build daily, right? Build daily, think big, and build daily. Remember your vision, right? Vision without action is just a dream. All right. Remember to do small steps to get to where you want to be. All right, small steps, work your way backwards to get to where you want to be. And remember that service is the key for people that work for you and for your customers, okay? That's going to be the key to success. Whatever your product is, service will be the key to your success from that point on. Again, if you like this, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And we will go on this journey together, and hopefully I can help you out a little bit on the way in your incredible journey. Thank you so much.